Continuing with the management techniques, various methods of management, we'll today look at one of the techniques, that is management by objectives. In this video we are going to cover the definitions of management by objectives, what are the components, the principles, the importance of MBO, the MBO process, the types of objectives that we set in MBO process, and then the advantages and disadvantages. Let us now first look at the definitions. These are two important definitions which give the overall idea of the MBO. So MBO is a strategic management model that aims to improve the performance of an organization by clearly defining objectives that are agreed to by both management and employees. Now let us divide this and look at it. So it says MBO is a strategic management model. So it is a model or a tool that is used from the topmost level. Okay, what does it do? That aims to improve the performance of an organization. The aim is to improve the performance of organization. How do they want to achieve that? Let us see. By clearly defining objectives. Okay, so it deals with defining the objectives. Whose objectives? Now that part that are agreed by both management and employees. That is, the employee and the management decide on the objectives. So it is a strategic model, the purpose of which is to improve organization performance. The method used is defining the objectives clearly, and these objectives are agreed by both the management and employees. So the basic idea is, everybody, if they achieve their objectives, the organization will automatically attain its objectives. Now let us look at another definition. MBO is a management practice which aims to increase organizational performance by aligning the goals and subordinate objectives throughout the organization. So very similar to the previous one. So the wordings are a bit different. So what it says is MBO is a management practice. So it is something which is an action oriented process which aims to increase organizational performance. That is basically, once again, to increase the effectiveness and efficiency of the organization. How? By aligning goals and subordinate objectives. So the goals of every level, they are aligned with each other, and there is coordination among the goals of various levels in the organization throughout the organization. So entire organization is, we generally see, we divide it into operational level, the middle level, and the top level. So every level has got its own goals and objectives. So if we are able to align these, what happens is, when the operational level staff reach their objectives and reach their goals, that level is completed. And when we align this with the middle level, and the middle level fulfills its objectives and goals, two levels are covered. And when the top level also is able to attain its objectives, the entire objectives of the organization will be fulfilled automatically. So MBO is a process where what we do basically is, we ensure that every person knows his objective clearly and works towards attaining of his objective. Now let us look at the components. There is a chance that you may confuse with the components and the process. They are a little bit different. The component part is what are the different parts of the MBO, and the process is what are the steps. Okay, so they may appear similar, but they are a bit different. The components of MBO are setting specific goals. So these goals have to be set for both the organization also and for individuals also. Then second one is setting realistic and acceptable goals. The goals must be realistic and acceptable. If you set unrealistic goals, it is not possible to attain, and the entire process will fail. And it has to be accepted by every person. That is, it has to be acceptable to the management also and to the employees also. And then the third and most important part is the joint participation in goal setting, planning and controlling. That is, employees as well as management both should participate in the goal setting process, in the planning process, and in the controlling process. And then feedback, the most important component, because only with the feedback you know where you are heading, whether you are attaining the goals or not, whether you are on course to attaining the goals or not, or whether you are deviating from there, and whether any corrective action is required or not. Now let us look at the principle or the importance of MBO. So the principles will tell you about the importance also. Let us look at it. The principle of MBO is for employees to have a clear understanding of their roles. Okay, so first portion is the employees must understand their roles properly and responsibilities expected of them. That is, their roles include the responsibility, authority, everything. They must understand it very, very clearly. What is the reason for that? So they can understand how their activities relate to achievement of the organizational goal. See, only when a person knows how important his task is for the organization to be successful, he feels motivated. If you are going to show the importance of his role, automatically the person feels, I have got some huge responsibility and the organization depends on me to perform successfully so that the organization will be successful. So what happens? A person automatically feels motivated when his role is clearly explained to him and how his activity relates to the achievement of organizational goal. So when we do this, every employee will be motivated. Therefore, we can also consider this principle as the importance. So it is important that every person knows what his role is in the achievement of the success for the entire organization. So if he succeeds, the organization succeeds. And when he knows that his success is very critical for organization success, he feels motivated. So MBO as a motivation process also is an important tool. So automatically when you set the MBO process in the organization, it also leads to motivation. Now let us look at the process of MBO. The process of MBO can be studied in 5 steps. The first step is for the organization to set its own objectives. Once the organizational objectives are set, then the next step is about setting the objectives for each employee with each employee. That is, the management or the managers must ensure that they understand the organizational objective. They have to divide that objectives into sub objectives and decide which objectives would be attained by each employee. So objectives are set for each employee along with that employee. That is, the employee must be present when his objectives are being set. The third one is to monitor the employee progress and his performance. So once the objectives are given, the employee begins his performance and there has to be a continuous progress which is monitored. Then the next step is to evaluate and check the progress of the employee, whether the employee's progress is as expected or not. And if it is not as per the expectation, then the employee has to be guided, or some corrections if they are needed or support if needed must be provided to the employee so that he begins to perform as per the expectation. And then last is the feedback. That is, feedback in terms of acknowledgement, recognition, reward and other benefits for those who are performing properly and as per the expectation. And if the performance is not good, some correction or guidance, or maybe even sometimes punishment would be required if the performance is negative. So these are the steps in MBO. So once these steps are taken up, what happens? Organizational objective is known to everybody. Every employee knows what his objective is and how his objective being attained is going to play an important role in the organization achieving the organizational goal. And then third one is the monitoring the progress by the manager and also by the employee himself also. And then evaluation, that is checking whether the performance is as per expectation or not. And then providing the proper feedback by the manager to the employee, or sometimes even the employee when he evaluates and if he feels, no, I am not going as per expectation, I need some support or guidance, he can approach the manager. So once this process is continuously taken up, automatically what happens? Every employee will reach his or her goal, and therefore the organization will move towards its objectives and goals. Now let us look at the types of objectives that are set in MBO. See, if the organization only speaks about its own objective, the employee will not be motivated. So MBO as a process, if it has to be successful, must be a holistic process. That is, it must address the concerns of the organization also, it must address the concerns of the individual also, and it must also address the concerns of the person individually to be creative. So what we require is management by objectives. The objectives are classified into three types. The first one is the maintenance objectives, that is to achieve the individual goal as well as the organizational goal and to maintain the performance. Second one is the improvement objectives, that is to improve the performance. Where can we improve the efficiency, how can we improve the effectiveness, what are the areas where the process or the outcomes can be improved, where we can save cost, where we can save time. So these are considerations which will help us to improve the performance. And then finally the personal development objectives, that is preparing the person for the future role also, looking at his career path, charting a career plan for the employees. So these are also part of the MBO. That is, the MBO process must also address how a person is going to move ahead in the organization, what will be his growth, what will be his career path in the organization. When these things are also part of the MBO, the employees will be interested. Merely calling the employee and only setting him targets and then forcing him to accept it by hook or crook, that is not MBO. That is hard bargaining. Such methods cannot be considered as MBO. MBO must take into consideration the organizational objectives also, and the improvement objectives also, and also the personal development objectives of the employee also. So all these things, when they are part of the discussion between the manager and the employee will be motivated to perform well and do his bit for the organization. That is, he is motivated, plus also he knows that his personal growth is also included in the overall plan of the organization. Now let us look at the advantages of MBO. So MBO helps in creating a positive internal motivation. When I know that my work is being appreciated and my work is going to lead to the organization to success, I will automatically feel a sense of pride in my duty, and that leads me to perform well, and therefore my objectives are attained. And when every employee does the same thing, the organizational objective will be attained. It leads to improved performance, better efficiency and effectiveness definitely happens when MBO is planned out properly and executed properly. Then it also creates a sense of identification among the employees. An employee feels more related to the organization because he would have very good relations with the manager also. The manager cares for the employee, automatically the employee feels, yes, the organization cares for me, and therefore the identification and relatedness with the organization improves. It also leads to optimum utilization of the human resource. The people begin to give their best and even try to go beyond their capacities. So therefore what happens, the overall utilization of the human resource improves. Then when you use MBO, there is a better clarity in the role. So when an employee says these are the objectives that I'll attain as part of my duty, automatically the role is very clear, and the manager also knows who has been assigned what task. So there will be clarity. Then it also leads to a better communication with the employee and the management, and it is also a tool for performance management or performance control, because everybody has been given his or her objective. You know what has to be expected from each one of them, so automatically it leads to better performance management and control. All these things are if you are executing the MBO process properly. If the MBO process right from the start is properly done, these things can happen. Otherwise, MBO as a tool can also be a disastrous experience in organizations. It can lead to lot of conflict. So what are the disadvantages and what are the precautions we need to take? Let us look at it. MBO is a time consuming process. It requires lot of dedication on part of the manager. He has to sit with every employee under him and discuss the objectives. Okay, so this is one thing. And when he is doing this, when he is dividing the objectives and distributing the objectives among the employees so that overall team objective is attained, there may be bias etc. that may set in. The manager must consciously ensure that there is no bias, and therefore what happens is he has to be very careful in planning, and that automatically leads to time consumption. Similarly, he has to discuss his plans with the employees, and therefore once again the employee will also take some time to plan and come up with his own suggestions and his own requirements, and that once again leads to time consumption. So basically our organization can adopt MBO when it is ready to dedicate time. Then second is the reward punishment approach is there. So whoever does good gets reward, and whoever doesn't perform well is punished. And therefore what happens, MBO sometimes, if you are not motivating the employees properly, can create a fear psychology among the employees. It also increases the paperwork because everybody's records have to be kept. The performance management has to be done continuously. You have to monitor the work continuously, and that means a lot of reporting etc., and which also consumes time also, and which also increases the paperwork. Sometimes it creates organizational problems because what you are doing is the people who have higher capacity, you give them greater objectives. Even if they are at the same level also, what happens, sometimes some people get higher responsibilities, and that creates organizational problems at times. And sometimes it also leads to conflicting objectives. Situation may be such that when you are in a position that you cannot divide the objective properly, what you do sometimes is you give the same objective to 2 or 3 persons, and therefore there may be a conflict that these persons may be working, but there is problem between these people and they do not coordinate with each other. You can take example of sports etc., say a football game where there are 2-3 forwards, and you tell each of them that I want each of you to score goals. So sometimes what happens, there may be a person who is in a better position to score a goal, but because everyone feels I must score the goal, he will not pass the ball and try to score himself, and it may not be possible for him to score the goal. But on the other hand, if he had cooperated with his colleague who was better placed and passed the ball, he could have scored a goal easily, and overall the objective of the organization could have been attained. So when same type of goals are shared with people who have to achieve their goals, sometimes there may be conflicts between them. So you have to ensure that they work as a team also when you are telling them to work under MBO. Then we also have sometimes the problem of coordination. What happens is when you are dividing the work and there has to be coordination between them, but the persons become overzealous and they want to show that their performance is much better and I am trying to do my best, I am doing my duty properly, but in doing his or her own duty they will not care for the duty of others. So sometimes what happens, individuals may attain their objective but the organizational or the team objective suffers. So there must be coordination properly. The manager must ensure that he has divided the work properly and he has made the team understand what are the coordinations required among each of them. So only when he has told clearly who is going to do what role and coordinate with whom, then only it is possible that the team works properly. So whenever we are speaking of object MBO, we must ensure that it is not just the individual who is performing, but also take care that you clearly spell out what is the coordination that is required between the people. The problem here why it comes is every individual is afraid of the reward punishment approach that is there in MBO, because what happens, only those who actually perform and deliver, their recognition is very high. So something's very similar to a cricket match etc. Sometimes what happens, a person may play a second fiddle and allow somebody to take more charge so that the team wins, but what happens, the man of the match goes to the person who has taken better charge. The role of the person who has played second fiddle and allowed some person to take the lead, that gets ignored. So that gets ignored, okay, but what is the role of the captain and the coach? They must appreciate the person who held on the one side to ensure that one person takes risk and not both of them take risk. However, if this continues repeatedly, what happens is people feel, why should I play a lesser role, let me also take risk, and in that what happens, the entire team may fail. So the persons who are anchoring, their role must be appreciated properly by the team members and also by the captain and the coach and also the board. So when that is done, automatically people feel, okay, this is also an important role and one of us has to take a back seat, let me take that back seat. So only then coordination is possible. But if you are only recognizing the work of those who are star performance and those who have cooperated them are ignored, automatically you will create a situation where cooperation and coordination decreases in the organization. It is the manager's duty to take care that no such problems arise in the organization. And finally, and the most important critical part is problems related to goal setting. When you are setting the goals, it becomes very essential that the organizational goal is kept in mind and the subordinate goals are properly fixed. The objectives of each employee are properly fixed and the coordination and cooperation between these members is set properly. If you are not going to do that, if you are just simply dividing the objectives among each other and we're not ensuring coordination and cooperation between them, you are bound to fail. Similarly, when you are setting the goals and when you are not dividing the goals properly, even if there is a lot of coordination and cooperation, if some goals are left out, then also you are going to suffer. So the comprehensive goals must be taken into consideration. The overall organizational goal must be kept in mind. The coordination and cooperation that is required must be kept in mind. And these things, when you are properly planning and executing them and monitoring them properly, only then MBO can be successful. So MBO as a tool is very good if it is approached properly. If MBO is utilized properly as a motivation tool also, and without forgetting that management is a teamwork. And if you only are looking at MBO as an individual oriented thing, then it is not going to work. MBO is definitely individualistic, but at the same time coordination, cooperation and teamwork must be inbuilt, and the organization culture which supports teamwork, coordination and cooperation, only there MBO can be very successful. If you have any doubts relating to MBO, you are free to get in touch with me for clarification of the doubts. Thank you.